Guys, thank you very much for listening to the Photography Bar podcast. If you enjoy the show, please make sure to support us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as our Patreon, all of which will be linked in the show notes. Please leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast apps such as Spotify and Apple Podcast. And with all that said, let's head to the bar.
Hello, everyone, and Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Kam. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm really good. Yes. Merry Christmas to you, Mark. Merry Christmas to our listeners with a capital S on the end.
Absolutely. And really, really cool. This is, we're coming to the festive period now, and I have to say to everyone, this is going to be our last pod this year. This will be the last one, and then I think we're going to be back on in January. I think we're saying the 18th, aren't we? So we're having a bit of a break, so we can drink some beer and eat some turkey, basically.
We are indeed, and we're looking forward to it. I think we deserve the break. And once we come back in the new year, we're going to be rocking and rolling with lots of exciting things coming up.
We're going to do a few things new, aren't we, next year? We're not quite sure. We haven't got it down properly yet, but we have some ideas. So, really looking forward to it.
It's coming. We've got some great guests on next year as well. And also, we're going to be tying in with the photography show again, as one of their supporting partners. So
we don't know how yet. We don't know how yet, but
that's right. Yeah. So that's going to be good. So, Mark, what do we got?
Well, yes, we're going to have a chat. It being Christmas, I think we are going to be talking about some gift ideas. Got different price ranges, nothing too expensive, so that's going to be cool. So, if you know a photographer friend, or you've got to write a list for someone who wants to get you something, then maybe this will help you. Apparently, there's been some James Bond villains spotted in Knightsbridge, and I know, Kam, you want to talk about that. I think we'll be talking about that in a minute. And also, and it's definitely worth a listen, everyone. Kam had a chat with Martin Bains, who's the CEO of the BIPP. I think Jeff was part of the conversation as well. Jeff Brown is a friend of the show, but it's definitely worth listening to that. It's a really good interview that Kam does. So do listen to that. But firstly, let's talk about these Bond villains, shall we?
Yes, let's do that, Mark. So, for talk about Andy Gotts, he's been a Bond fan since he was 10, when his parents went to take him to see For Your Eyes Only. And who played Bond in For Your Eyes Only, Mark?
For Your Eyes Only. Is that Roger Moore?
It was indeed. Indeed. Okay, now he's been shooting now. This is his third decade as a celebrity photographer, Andy Gotts.
I've actually met him briefly, Andy Gotts.
Really?
Yes, he did. He might have been in Bedford, So we went. He did a talk in Bedford, I think it was, and we went down, and we bought one of his books. I think he signed it and had a chat with him, and it was cool.
Yeah, that's good. Well, anyway, he's photographed a lot of the actors who played the baddies in the Bond films, and basically recently he worked out there were only 6 actors still alive that had been a 007 foe that he had not shot, and so he. Yeah, which is great. So Gotts made it his mission to shoot them. So he had the full set, and so he shot them as they are now. And these images you can see in an exhibition that's taking place in London until the 8th of January. We'll tell you where at the end.
Yeah.
And he goes on to say, my favourite Bond nemesis is without doubt Auric Goldfinger. His humour and wheeler dealer persona was very infectious, says Gotts. Now, looking at these images, he shot these people sort of as they are now. And if you're a fan of portrait photography, black and white photography, a fan of art photography and fine art photography, then this is an exhibition that you must visit, because yes, we're talking about Bond villains, and it doesn't matter whether you've got any interest in James Bond or not. But if you are a fan of photography and the black and white image and black and white portraits, and as I said, fine art, then this is an exhibition that you really want to go to, because I think these images, they're very stark, very black and white, show up incredible detail. So the lighting is incredible. They've obviously been artworked afterwards, and that's a big part of what happens out there now as well. So the baddies that we've got that are featured in the article, Christopher Lee, who played Francisco Scaramanga in The Man with the Golden Gun. That's right. Yeah, that's going back to 1974, and there's an incredible picture of him just there with a cigar, blowing the smoke from a cigar. But it's a detail in his hands and his face and the smoke that you see coming from the cigar. Charles Dance, and For Your Eyes Only, 1981. Again, he's just on a plain white background with the character just looking straight at you with the eyes, very close up. There's so much textural detail in the shot.
Yeah,
and it says due to clever and creative table settings, which he helped with. It says he ended up sitting next to Mr. Dance for the duration of the meal. After several glasses of red wine, he agreed to shoot. He agreed to be shot by me, and that's how it worked. So he met him at a meal, and it went on from there. And he said, "Yeah, why not? Let's do it." And
clever place settings, eh?
Yeah,
clever
exactly.
place settings. Well,
that's right.
That's what you got to do. I mean, I suppose you got to be in the room in the first place to make those clever place settings. But yeah, no, I have seen. I mean, this is very. I mean, if you haven't seen any of Andy Gott's work, do check him out, because this is the sort of. I mean, the other things that I've seen of him, it's very of that ilk. I mean, he has a certain way he shoots, and it is definitely evident in his photos. So yeah, it'll be good to see these. If you have got some spare time during the festive season, that little bit that you don't know what to do with between Christmas and New Year, get yourself down to Knightsbridge, I guess.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly. Yeah, I'll tell you exactly where please. It is. That would be good to know. The exhibition is entitled Nemesis at Almare, the Carlton Tower in Knightsbridge in London. So do get along to that if you can over the sort of holiday period. I'm sure it's going to be open. It's on until the 8th of January 2024, and I'd love to be able to. To get to that. Just the last one that they've got, and I suppose the most recent one would it be is Rami Malek.
He was
No Time to Die.
Yeah, he was Freddie Mercury, wasn't he?
Very eerie sort of image with his eyes and the way that he shot. It's just shot side on. It says he shot Rami in Fleming's Hotel in Mayfair, and he said he was the last actor that he needed to complete the set.
Right, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and he said he mentioned he was more comfortable being Freddie, that he would be up for playing Buster Keaton, which I can see him as says the photographer. And fantastic. Get along to this, and do check him out. James Bond, friend of the show. Mark, I'm going to grab a quick drink. Let's grab one, and then we're going to crack on with some of those Christmas gifts.
Yeah, Christmas gift ideas. It's that time of year, and me and Kam, we've been having a look through what kind of things that actually we would like to receive as Christmas presents. So we figured, well, that might be quite cool. If anyone wants to buy us something, then please go for it. But this is generally really giving people ideas to buy their loved ones if they're photographers or just even interested in photography. These are some cool ideas, I thought. We're not going to bore you with a massive list. We basically got a top 5. So Kam, I think you want to start with the first one. This is definitely I thought this was a bit of a boring one personally, but Kam, you were very much going for this. You quite liked it, didn't you? So here it is. So Kam, what have you put in at number 5?
Well, it's a portable hard drive. And, because yes, it might sound as a boring, dull present, but you know what? Every photographer needs a portable drive, and I can guarantee you that if you give a keen photographer a portable drive wrapped up as a Christmas present, they're going to be absolutely chuffed, because photographers, we're all geeky, aren't we? We love that sort of thing. And this particular one is the LaCie drive, and the great thing about this is it gives you that sort of rubber orange casing around it as well for that
rugged
added protection. It's the rugged, and that's why it's called that. So
it's the rugged mini. I mean, it's not massive on the storage. It's only a terabyte, which 10 years ago would seem massive, wouldn't it? But it's good because it's got it's pretty good price bracket as well, isn't it? I believe. So looking at this, You're looking at 80 quid, basically £79. By the way, we're looking at park cameras here. I'm sure
It's
there's other people available that you can buy these from, but £79
right,
looks pretty cool.
I mean, it's a 1 terabyte drive and USB 3, and your photographer friend or family member can be storing a terabyte's worth of images and video. So I think it's a great Christmas present coming in at number 5. What do we got number 4?
Well, I was just about to say, before we move on, if you're particularly feeling generous with your rugged mini USB 3 by LaCie, buy them 2. So you got 1 and then you got a backup.
Well, there you go. Yeah, the backup. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. Right then. So no worries at all. So the next one we are looking at, again, this is one that piqued Kam's interest, and I thought was maybe, I don't know, a little bit on the boring side, but anyway.
See, the thing is, Mark, I've gone for things that are
You've
useful,
gone for practical, useful things, haven't you?
Rather than something that's going to be maybe, it's good for Christmas Day, and then you throw it out, and then you never use it again.
That is fair enough. That is fair enough.
Now this is called the Think Tank Cable Management 30 version 3, and it says the updated Think Tank Cable Management 30 version 3 is the latest pouch from the range, which now features clear front and rear panels with wide easy access opening and much more to help you organize your accessories. So it's basically a cable tidy case.
Yes. I mean, there's nothing much to it, but you're right. I mean, I'm always looking for cables. I'm not going to lie. So I have just taken the mickey out of this, but actually...
Mark, and do you know what? I think the one person that needs this is you. Because when you open up your camera bag, you're a messy bugger.
Excuse me, everything is in its place, I'll have you know. But there are cables on top of flash guns. I agree.
Yeah, exactly right.
Nowhere else to put them.
And then when you open your backpack, which has got your laptop in, I mean, there's I watch you and you've got stuff coming out everywhere. And it just seems to be no organization at all.
Oh, that's not fair. There's plenty of organization. Everything has its unless someone picks up my bag and doesn't check it zips, Mr. Kam. Generally it is. It is. But this actually looks pretty cool, to be fair.
I mean, it's not a £5 little zip pouch or something. It's £30, so it's quite a price just for what you would call a bag. But I think it's really useful. I think you give that to a photographer friend again or family member. I think they'd be chuffed. I think they would use it and go straight into their camera bag, and they would spend Christmas Day wrapping up their cables and tidying them all up and putting them in the bag and being organized. So I think it's a great present. Okay, so the first 2 I think are really useful gifts. What do we got in at number 3?
Really useful one here. So I quite like this one. So this is it's a battery case. It's a large battery case. It's 15 quid. So nothing overly expensive here. But what it can do is it's like a little pouch. It's by Vanguard. It's called the Vanguard Ultra BCL Battery Case Large. It's not the sexiest of titles, I agree, but it does exactly what it says in the title there. It's a little pouch. It looks like you can put it on your belt, and you can, lens caps. Now that would be good for me. I'm always losing my lens caps. You can put lens caps in there. You can put SD cards in there, batteries. It looks like you got a pen in there as well. You can fit just a nice little thing that you can put on your belt. Again, very useful for carrying around, and it's only 15 quid. It'll be a good, useful little thing for 15 pounds. I don't know what you think about that, Kam.
Yeah, I think I think it's a great present. Again, it's that one where it's really useful. You give that to any photographer, and they're going to have a use for it. And they might sound like dull presents, but they're ones that people are going to keep, and they're going to say, I can guarantee you that every photographer will say so far to those 3, do you know what? I could really do with that. Oh, yeah, I was thinking of getting one of those. Oh, I wanted to tidy all my stuff up. I needed somewhere to back my photos up. That's the response that you're going to get from our 3 numbers 5, 4, and 3. What comes in at number 2, Mark?
Well, this is something that piqued my fancy. I like my lighting. And this is a little device that I think would be very useful. So it's a little LED light that clips onto your hot shoe adapter on your camera. It's called the Lume Cube 2.0 waterproof LED. And yeah, it looks pretty cool. You've got an app for it on your phone, so you can control your brightness and all that kind of stuff. And there's a load of other functions on there as well, which does look really, really useful. Not only do you get obviously it's like this little box light. It's really quite small. Not only do you get that, but you also get a few accessories with it as well. So obviously you've got your USB cable for charging and the DSLR shoe, but you also get it has a magnetic thing on the front, so you can put little filters on it. So you've got the magnetic warming gel, and you've also got a diffuser, which again is magnetic. It just clicks on. You've got a modification frame. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I'm assuming it's another light modifier of some description. And then, of course, you actually get the Lume Cube 2.0 as well. Now, this is a little bit more pricey than what we've been talking about. It's £95, but it's still under the £100 mark. So it's not breaking the bank. But I think this could be a nice little gadget you can have just to maybe put a bit of pop in a portrait, or we were thinking about first dances, weren't we, Kam, when we first saw this?
Well, yeah, the thing is I like it, and then I thought to myself, I don't know, it's a bit plasticky and cheap, but then it is £95.
Yeah,
so that sort of changed my mind on it, thinking it's probably for something that small for £95, that's got to be pretty good. My only thing is, would it be blinding to the subject that you're going to use? But then again,
maybe.
saying that, not necessarily. I think you've got that control on your phone, and there's a couple of images of a photographer using it, and I think it could be really good in just to throw that little bit of extra light in dark situations. I'd quite like to try it. That actually,
yeah. I'd like to try it.
There you go. You see, Mark.
Yeah.
That's why it makes a great Christmas present. Because if somebody bought that Christmas present for me, I'd be thinking, "Oh, I like that." I've not got one of those. I can't think many people would have that.
I think so. I've just realised what the modification frame is, by the way. So that is the thing. The modification frame is the magnetic bit, which you clip over the Lume Cube, and then you can then magnetically attach the warming gel and the diffuser. Yeah, it's an adapter basically. Yeah. And I haven't looked into it, but I'm sure there are some additional accessories you can get for it. I can't imagine this company is silly not to do that. Or maybe there's some coming up. But
let's have a look at the description of it down there a little bit. As I look at it a little bit over there. Okay, it says it's rugged, it's waterproof, it's got a high quality light, it's Bluetooth enabled for easy brightness. 1.5 hour battery life. Wow, for a little cube like that, I'm really surprised. It says low light mode for long exposure photography. So that alone is really good. And 80% beam angle for clean spread and 0 hotspots. Now, there you go. That was my worry. Does it cause a hotspot? Now, I would really, really like to try this, actually.
Yeah, I think it's cool. It's about the size of a golf ball, this thing. It's...
Yeah, and it doesn't. I said it doesn't take a battery. It's USB-C charging. Going back years ago, we would have had those little disc, those little silver batteries.
Those things. I mean, it might be that it can connect to your camera. I don't know this because I haven't looked into it, but you might be able to. True. Might be able to just connect to your camera.
It gets a charging cable. Yeah, it might. Be able to.
Might be able to.
I think another good gift. I think we've got some really good ones. You've got the sort of boring, sort of usefully ones, but now so anyway.
But what comes? Pretty cool.
Well, anyway,
we kind of cheated for the next one because we got two things that we're kind of grouping together.
Okay.
So this is really going back to analog. Now, these cameras have been around for ages and whatever, guys. The company's been around for a very long time. So I'm sure many of our listeners have heard of Lomo cameras. So we've gone on to shop.lomography.com and they've got some really good cracking deals here. But there was a couple that me and Kam looked at particularly, which we kind of liked. So I'm going to start with this one here. So this one is called the Lomo Apparat mini gift bundle. Hopefully I have pronounced that right. Now, it's a nice little bundle you've got. Now, the price does vary because you have a choice of 3 different cameras. So you've got the Apparat 21mm wide angle camera, which is normally £89. You've got the Lomo Apparat 21mm wide angle camera Nubo edition. I'm just assuming that's how it looks. And that's an extra tenner. And then you've also got the Chin Yoda edition, which is £99. So the price does vary on this bundle. So it can be £101.90 or it can be £111.90, depending on which camera you go for.
Okay.
But it also gives you some film, and you also get a film case for it as well. It's 35mm film, so it's going back to the old school. But I have to say, some of these they got some examples of what you can get from it, because it's got some gels on the flash, so you can change your flash color. I think it might actually go for all three, because looking at some of these, that looks like the lens.
Yeah, I mean the Lomo stuff is great.
Fun.
I think a lot of people probably aren't even aware of what the Lomo cameras do. But they've been around since the 90s. And they're actually quite famous as well. You know, you see them sometimes in art galleries, you know, when you go to the shop, the museum shop sometimes, or you know, when you, on your way out, and you find them in there a lot of the time as well. But the way they sort of capture things in a very arty sort of way, I think, are great. You know, they give you the flair, they give you that bit of that color, the different, you know, the old look color, I guess, as it were. They look like it's like going back in time with the Lomo stuff, I would guess.
But it's also very experimental and very arty and crafty.
Experimental, you know what I mean? That's it. Yes, that's right.
It looks like you could do some double exposure stuff with this camera as well. And again, you can change. So I said there's some sort of gels you can put over the flash. It looks like you can change the colors of the gels as well, so they're interchangeable. It just looks like a bit of fun. I mean, I don't think you're going to get the highest quality picture from these. Don't expect that. But it's fun. It looks like fun. I think it's very I would be very happy if I opened my stocking one morning and found one of these in there. I think this would be lots and lots of fun.
That's right. Yeah. And what's the site that what's the site that people can look this up on?
Shop.lomography.com. We'll put this on our show meets. We'll put some direct links to the two cameras that we're saying, because you spotted one as well, didn't you, Kam?
Yes.
Where is it? Oh, here it is. Oh no, that's not it. There it is.
It was the old, and I think people would love this now, but there is a downside to it. Now, this is the Fisheye baby metal black. It says, with a sleek black metallic design, the oh so adorable Fisheye baby 110 camera may be small, but it packs a 170-degree punch, shooting super cool bulbous spheres on 110 film. So those of you that remember 110 film, 110 film.
110.
Now, the only thing I would say is it a bit gimmicky? Does it have a limited use? Yes, look, it's only £30. It's just under £30 a skip. So yes, it is gimmicky. It is for a bit of fun. It could be ideal for somebody to shoot over Christmas, and then not use it again, right? But and I think it's the one present, I think, that's funky at the list of things that we did. It's funky, it's fun, it's experimental. Do you know what? You may only use it once or twice, but it's part of the fun element of it, you know.
I think so. I think you get a lot out of it, actually. I think you'd always take this to parties, or you know, there's a picture here of someone there hiking on a mountain. I think you get some quite interesting. I think it's a camera you take as well as your smartphone, so you got a bit of fun, and then your normal photos as well.
Definitely.
It's on 110 film as well. I don't know how easy that is to get printed. I'm guessing that they'll be able to tell you how to do that.
I think they do. That's right. I think you can probably send it directly to them, actually, and they'll do that as well. So they support. I think they support all of that. They sell all the film as well. So good stuff. Now, Mark, that's our top 5, isn't it?
No, we're on number
more.
2. We got one more.
We've got one, of course. Yes.
Now you've actually got one of these, Kam. So I'm really surprised you forgot about this. So we had a look on this. These guys don't. Well, they have their own website to tell you about it, but it's by Fujifilm. It's called the Instax Mini Link to Smartphone Printer, and you can get them in different colors. We're looking at the clay white one. But over to you, Kam, because you've actually got one of these.
I have. I may not have exactly the same one. It is a Fujifilm Instax Mini that I've got, but I bought it for my wife a few years ago, actually, for Christmas. And basically what it is, you take a photo on your phone and you can print it into a little mini print. It's like a very small mini Polaroid that you get, and at the bottom of it, it's got that bit of extra white space, and you can make a little comment on it. You can sign it, or you can put a date on it and present it to somebody, so they get a photo there and then straight away. I think that these are absolutely brilliant, and
Yeah.
so it's really easy to link your phone to the printer. You print the picture off. It comes out of the machine automatically. You then have to wait, and then you see the image appear in front of you.
So it's like a Polaroid then?
It's a Polaroid, yeah, but it's absolutely brilliant. I think they're perfect gifts to hand about. Now, you can buy the Instax cameras, and they're big, bulky things, which I've not used, but I still think they're really good. However, this is just a printer that you can keep in your bag, but you take the photos with your phone, and I think these are brilliant. They make a great gift. I mean, it's under £100.
Yeah. So we're looking at what, £94? £94 on the dot. Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on where you get that, and I think when you buy it, you get some film that comes with it that you can use.
How do you
paper?
Paper. How do you link it to the camera? Is it Bluetooth? Is it?
Yeah, it's just Bluetooth.
It's just Bluetooth. Wi-Fi.
Yeah. So you just download the app, and then it just links up from there. It's really easy. And
how big are the photos?
Oh, they're probably, I don't know, 3 inches by 2, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So just nice little,
small
pictures.
But and I think they're perfect for it makes a lot of little gifts. You take a photo of someone, you just hand them the little print on the day.
Yeah.
You
can make little albums, couldn't you? You could do little albums on it as well.
You see them at weddings, sometimes, and people leave those little Instax and they stick them up. And I think we go to what is a print, and I think it's a great way to finish off our top 5 Christmas presents.
Yes,
because
absolutely.
you're actually giving something to somebody, that printer. You're then taking photos and printing them off, and then they're giving a little print to somebody else. And you could shoot pictures over Christmas, and if you've got family and friends staying with you over Christmas, they could take a little print home with them, shot over Christmas before everyone falls out, and I think
down the Queen Vic, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So when so the Instax printer, I think, is a great gift. That's our number 1 Christmas gift this year, under £100.
You can't go
give it to anyone.
And
sorry, that's the other thing. The other reason why we're going to we're saying it's not one is because it's not just for photographers. You could give this to your mum, you could give this to your nan, you could give this to your brother, your sister, your best friend. This is a photographic gift for everyone.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That's why it's the number 1 gift.
Yeah, so, excellent stuff. Right then, Kam. Yeah, we should go for our last drink in between sections of the year. And then it's that great interview you did with the guys from BIPP. So we'll have a drink, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
Okay, you're right, guys. So Martin and Jeff from the BIPP have just joined us in the bar. How are you doing, guys? Thank you for popping in.
Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good stuff. Okay, good stuff. Okay, so you guys have just come off the back of the International Print Awards 2023 event, and that's what prompted us to sort of get you guys on the show, because we thought that would be worth talking about. But rather than it just being an awards evening, it was more of an event with you had various workshops and classes on, things going on. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely, Kam. It was a great day. We have 4 seminars through the day, and then we have the awards in the evening where we present the category winners. So it might be, I don't know, domesticated animals photographer of the year, and that kind of runs up to a final where there's an overall winner with a high score in print who becomes the BIPP photographer of the year. And it's kindly presented by Jeff, who's our president. So he stands there and does a lot of handshaking and smiling at the camera and handing over our wonderful awards. So it was a great night, and I think the when we took a count the next day, the latest in the bar was 6. So you can tell it's a great awards evening if people are still in the bar. Not me, by the way. I was in bed by 2, but yeah, it was a light night.
It's been a good night. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to come back onto the awards in a moment. But Jeff, obviously, we know very well, who's a friend of the show and as the photographer's mentor, providing great advice to photographers out there. But we'll come back to the awards, but I wanted to really just go over what the BIPP is first, what the organization does, how it benefits photographers, what can it offer people that are listening out there that aren't members of either of the BIP or they're not members of any sort of society at all.
Do you want me to talk to that, or Jeff?
Yeah. Good.
Well, the association, the BIPP, has been around since 1902, so it's 1901 even. So it's been around 123 years. So it's been around a long time. Originally started in Fleet Street, and it was put together by photographers who may have been members of other organisations such as the RPS and other organisations at the time, but they wanted a professional body, and that's how it came together. So that's 123 years ago. So fast forward to today, and the whole idea is it's a place for photographers to kind of share their experiences. It's a community. A lot of photographers it's quite a lonely role that we find, that they sit at home staring at Lightroom or staring at Photoshop in the pajamas at 3:00 in the afternoon. And this is a way for them to kind of get out there, speak more to other photographers. As an organisation, we provide public as part of the membership. Because it's a membership organisation, we provide professional indemnity and public liability, and there's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week helpline if they have any problems with issues with the law or anything like that. So there's lots of benefits to it, discounts and things like that. But one of the main things that people find out of it is a community of other like-minded people. And then forward from that, we've got a 3-tier qualification system, and then we run print competitions, which is what we've just talked about, which is a kind of culminating our national print competition. We did used to have regional print competitions, but next year we're actually switching to monthly competitions to hopefully get more engagement and get more people involved on a monthly basis. So that's where we are with it.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And having been established for all those years, shows that the relevance of something like of the BIPP. And it's interesting that you said about the whole community aspect, because, and I've mentioned this a few times on the podcast, and particularly when we started the podcast, and this was before COVID, so it was probably about 3 months before COVID when this podcast first went out, before we had any idea that COVID was going to happen. And the number of messages that we had where photographers are saying, your podcast has been great because you're actually, we have nobody to talk to. I spend all the time on my own, and that's whether it's COVID or not. I don't talk with other photographers. I have this, I have the competition in my local area, and I do my best to avoid that competition. We don't network in any way, and you guys are real photographers talking about the things that I have questions about. And I think photographers can be they're sort of quite reluctant to do that, aren't they? To talk to other photographers in many ways, particularly if it's local competition. And I think the trade shows are a great way, to go to a trade show, to attend a trade show where you start to meet other photographers. But I think the community aspect to me is probably the strongest thing about being in a society and trying to network with other photographers, and basically working together. And for me, I think that's the biggest benefit of being in a society. And you've got a lot of members, haven't you?
Yeah, we have probably not as many as other organisations, but as I say, I was professional. But one of the things, again, that when I talk about support and community, for example, as a member benefit is that we've done all the documents that we'll think you'll need as a photographer starting out. So even things like if you need a contract for a person who you're going to employ, or a model release form, we've kind of try and take care of all that for you. And also Jeff, as our president, runs, and I'm sure he'll tell you more about them, but different workshops. Once a month you have the president's business meetings, and also just things like every Thursday morning we have a coffee morning where people come on Zoom and they'll have a chat, and it might have nothing to do with photography at all, but what's happened that week. And so yeah, you're right, the community is important. People they whatever problem they're facing, somebody else has had it and will be able to help with it, whether it's a Lightroom problem or mental health issues, or it could be such a wide genre of things. And as I said, Jeff has, since he come on as president this year, has really helped and benefited the members that way, from first of all by just the person he is and the things he's been through, and his obviously the training that he does is such a huge benefit to our membership, and he's a great guy to have around. Fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
and where obviously we're going to be putting links out to the BIPP and where people can get in touch and everything, but Do you have is there a physical presence at trade shows, events, or anything like that, where people think, oh, actually, they're going to be there, or, I might just go and have a chat, like a face-to-face? Do you do anything like that at all? Or have you got any plans to be out there where people can just come and meet you?
We do. So, for example, last week we were at Canon in London, just outside of Heathrow, where they were doing a day on printing, how to get better prints out your inkjet. And we were there supporting. Two of the speakers there was John Miskelly and Sanjay, who were two fellows with us. So we went there to support them and talk to people about our membership. So we do that. We do TPS, the photography show. Next year, we're also doing Click. Charlie Kaufman's Click group is they're putting on a big event in I think it's just outside of Coventry. So generally, most of the trade shows will have some kind of presence. Whether we'll have a stand there or we'll just be there, maybe myself or some of the members chatting to other people. But yeah, we're out and about and trying. We find that's the only way to do it, really, to grow our membership. But although we're a non-for-profit, we still need to kind of take on new members. We have a natural churn, people retiring or leaving, and we've got to also, as a business, as I say, non-for-profit, but we still have to bring people in. And one of the best ways to do that is to be out there shaking hands with people and talking to them, and that's the bit I enjoy about my role anyway, is speaking to anything to do with photography. You can that's all I know anything about, to be honest, Kam. So
same here. So the learning aspect is I think is a particular sort of relevance to most people. Is what can they learn from being from joining a society, and the workshops that you run. So Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about the type of workshops that are available that people can get involved with?
A lot of it's to do with the problems that people have within running a business, so the marketing, the branding. But for the recent event that we just had last week in Birmingham, it was Martin and Paul's suggestion that we do something a little bit different. And they know that in my own past, I struggled with mental health and had a suicide attempt 8-9 years ago, and they asked if I'd be happy to talk about that and how I overcame that and developed a routine for positivity, wellness, and happiness. So that was a first for me, speaking to people openly about that and doing a PowerPoint and a discussion about it. And it was, and then that ran on to goal setting and habit forming. And I got some amazing feedback from people. And it was surprising how many really talented photographers, way talented than me, people with fellowships and stuff, and very successful people struggle with mental health. And it came over and said, they got a lot from it, me actually sharing that and being open about it, because it's something a lot of people don't like to talk about.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that's got to do with something that we mentioned, a few minutes ago about the community aspect, because I think most photographers they tend to work on their own as sole traders. I remember that when I first got into photography, many years ago, I was really fortunate. I was in a period where there were a lot of jobs available, so I was flitting from one job to another, working for different companies, that type of thing. And things have changed since then, because it's become far more sort of as an individual. Now, people will now sort of say, right, I'm going to set up my own business. I'm going to be a photographer. So I'll set up a website. I'll set up an Instagram page, and that's it. They're ready to go. They're good to go.
Yeah.
Without any prior knowledge of the business and having met and worked with other photographers and other people in the photography industry. They just sort of go ahead, set themselves up, and it can become a lonely existence.
Well, a great little story actually was, a couple of years ago, I had one of my somebody off LinkedIn that just messaged me and says, Jeff, I'm struggling with setting up my business. And it was a photographer based in Nigeria, and I work with clients in 20 odd different countries around the world. So we jumped on a Zoom call, we hit it off. He ended up coming on board my awesome photographers group. And then back in March last year, he messaged me to say, I've come to the UK. I'm now doing my master's degree in photography in the UK, and he's based in Birmingham. And then when it came to the International Print Awards last Thursday, and I had to present the winning member for student category, this guy from Nigeria, Adoji, who I know, I didn't know he'd entered, had actually won, because I told him about joining the BIPP. I said, the BIPP would be great for you, because you come in from outside the country, you come into the UK. It's a great place to network, meet other photographers. You'll get all the legal help, the support and stuff like that you need. And then lo and behold, he wins Student Photographer of the Year award, which is absolutely fantastic.
And
Jeff,
I think that's
I actually didn't know that. I didn't know he was one of your kind of members. That makes
yeah,
that
he's a
story
lovely
even
guy.
better. Yeah. What a great guy he was. He was good
Yeah.
fun. Yeah. Couldn't get him off the dance floor.
Well, that's great, you see, because that shows the power of connecting, and too often, we just keep ourselves, photographers will keep themselves to themselves purely because of that. And even this conversation alone, just talking to you guys now can start to inspire you just to think, okay, yeah, I'm going to make more of an effort to get out there a little bit more and join groups. And because we also become sort of, I'm in a group, but it's an online group. It's just a Facebook group or something. But even that, you're still on your own. You don't really connect sort of face to face with people. So I think the coffee morning and everything that you were saying, Martin, I think those are great ideas. And if you're not chatting about photography all the time, that's even better. And I think you just feel inspired. So good stuff. Okay, so we'll come on to how you joined the BIPP. But I wanted to talk about the awards event that you had. And just to tell us a little bit about what the type of awards were. So yeah, let's kick off with that. What awards were
Yeah,
being presented?
What happens is earlier in the year we invite our members to send in images. So it kind of starts in January, February when we have the regional image competition. So that's a digital online thing where they send in images. They're marked online, and within the region they'll compete against each other. And after that, we come to the nationals, which starts probably towards the end of summer. And we have 14 categories from architecture and industrial, wedding, classical wedding, scientific, domesticated pets, natural world. So there's all different categories that members can enter. So what they do is the first part of it is the enter online. So it's a digital entry. And then it's judged by about 20 different judges. Some of them will judge some of the categories that they're experts in, and they'll score. And if it gets over a 75, and it'll be judged 5 times, the image will be judged by 5 separate judges, and there's 20 judges in the pool. If it scores over 75, it goes through to the print round. So what we do then is we'll let them all know that they're through to the print round, and they'll submit a 20 by 16 mounted print to my office. And then come October time, we get 6 judges plus the chair of judges, which is Mr. Paul Wilkinson. And they're all fellows in a room, and we go by category. The prints will go up into a D50 light box, and they'll be marked out of 100. And anything above an 80 is a bronze, anything above an 85 is a silver, and 91 is a gold. And they're all scored. And it's a really, really interesting process. And I'd love one day for us to be able to do it live in front of people, or maybe be able to stream it. Because what happens is it's put up, the individual judges walk up to the image, they'll view it onto a D50 light box, they'll sit back down, and they'll put a score into an electronic tablet. And then what happens is Paul will see all the scores as well as a mean score, so an average. And then if one of the judges says that's too high or that's too low, then they'll bring the print back and they'll I'm going to say discuss it, but it does can get heated in a very
Sure.
polite and very professional way until we get to a score that everybody agrees with. And there's another bit where if there's a 10-point differential between the lowest score and the highest score, it's an automatic challenge where the person who scored the lowest has to talk about why they scored it that way all the way up. Now, the weird thing is if kind of everybody scores within 10 points of each other, let's say it scores an 83 and 80, 84, then it just flies through. There's no conversations about it. It just goes through. At the end of that process, all the kind of say the top 3, if they're within a few marks or points of a mark together, they're brought back out in front of the judges, and then they'll choose the one which they think is the best. And they're looking for all different things. It's impact, it's technical ability, it's lighting, it's the way with the paper that it's printed on, how it's been printed, how it's been mounted. So there's quite a lot of different things that the judges are looking for. Once that process is done, we've got 14 categories. They bring the 14 category winners back in front of them all at the same time, and then they'll take one away until we're left with one, which then is the photographer of the year. So that then that's in October. Then in November we have our International Print Awards. It's people from all over the world as well as the UK that send images in or prints in, where we present the category winners as the photographer of the year as well as the overall photographer of the year. And there's a few other surprises in there as well. We have something called the Convoy Beer Award, which is for somebody who's given a lot to the to the Institute. And this year, one of our members, John Muskelly, who was already a fellow, was honoured with honorary fellowship, which is kind of the highest award for the time as he's given on the board of directors. And he's rewritten our Articles of Association last year, which is a huge job. So there's a lot of kind of interesting things like that happens. And then we all have a beautiful 3-course meal, and then we stay up very late.
Right, as any good awards does. That's right. Yeah. So I'm interested in that. It's about prints, and you were saying that photographers will send prints in.
Yes.
Now, do you think that this is the whole print thing? I don't like to use the phrase sort of a dying thing, because obviously it's still big, we still print and everything. But do you think that there are photographers that are going to say, "I've never printed a thing in my life"?
Absolutely.
Right? I'd love to. Put something in for this award. Love to be up for this award, but I've got no idea. So they might go down to their local Boots or something, right, and print something and think, hey, you know what, that's a print. Because for some people, a print is a print, but a proper print is a piece of art.
Kam, it's a really, really interesting subject to talk about. We could talk about this all day, actually. So there's two things. Yes, there's a lot of photographers now, commercial photographers, never send anything to print. So it's a skill that's kind of being forgotten. And there's a lot of pro labs out there that can help you get through that. Digital Labs and Loxley Color and Sim 2000 and Graphic Studio. There's all these companies that can help you out. But what I know for a fact that if Paul Wilkinson was here, what he would say is, what better way is it at the moment? Because besides having a lot of ISO monitors mounted and it's very difficult, because what you want is the last thing that your photographer actually sees, that he or cares that print, that the next people who see it being the judges is that they see it exactly as the photographer saw it. So the photographer said, yeah, I'm happy with that print. I'm happy with the colors, happy with the density. I'm happy that is representing my work. There's no other way at the moment that you can do that where 5 other people can sit there and look at that same thing that the photographer's seen. Because a monitor, they'll be slightly different. And even with, calibrated ISOs or BenQ monitors, there is still a slight difference from what the photographer will have seen. So I agree with some of the people that say, it is old technology, but at the moment, it's still the best technology when we're running a thing that says a photographer has signed off almost this print to say that represents their work, to then our judges seeing what they wanted them to see. So it's a really interesting space around what will happen in the future. And we've been having the same discussion with our qualifications, where photographers will present a panel, we call it a panel of images, so 20 images. And the fact that they have to do that via print kind of puts some people off, and I understand that. But show me a better way or a different way to do it, and we don't believe yet that there is a way. Besides spending a huge amount of money and getting monitors mounted on some kind of framework that would be the next closest thing to do. But but that's expensive for us and for the photographers as well. So that's where we are with the print.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'll come back to that in a second. There's one thing that you mentioned Sim and Loxley, but you mentioned Sim and you called them Sim 2000, which shows how long you've been in the industry.
Oh my God, yeah. Sorry.
Because I still do the same.
Lee will be turning in his grave if he's listening to this.
Exactly, that's right, yeah. I managed to stop saying Sim 2000, a little while ago. It was always Sim 2000 to me. Anyway, let's come back to that print thing, okay? So with the print. Now, you said something about, old technology, but I don't think it is old technology. I think the prints, as I was saying, it's a piece of art. It's a final piece of work that you will produce for something. And I think there's photographers now. I think that there's a lot of new photographers that have come into the industry in recent years, and they're not even new photographers, just photographers that have come into the industry in recent years have no idea really of what a print and print quality actually is. Everything they look at is based on what they look at on a screen. As I said, screens are going to give different color renditions, exposure. So you're not looking at the same thing. So yes, I totally agree that the print is the best way to judge this. But it's just that a lot of photographers, even still, they'll still never print anything commercially, will they? Regardless of whether it's for an award or something like that. It's quite sad. I mean, you got your wedding albums, but on sort of talking about in the commercial industry, I can't remember the last time I printed anything out for a commercial client, and I'm now going back years. And we used to shoot products and we'd print off 300 10x8s that they could send out to their customers and more, in 2016s that they'd even put up in reception, in their reception and whatever. Now they've got a screen and they've just put their digital files on there. And so from that point of view, that is that part of the industry sort of dying, where commercial customers are not requesting the print?
Yes and no. Certainly commercially, but it used to be back then all transparencies, E6. And when I talk about print being old, I mean RF4, C41 chemistry has been around, a long, long time. But since then we've got now Canons and Epsons that can print. That we're getting to the point where they can print the whole of the Adobe RGB color space. So that there is kind of technology is moving forward. But I would say if you certainly from portrait or wedding photographer's point of views, where you see these guys getting we're talking tens of thousands commissions, is because they're printing their work. And one of the interesting things that I find is that we have this discussion with people, and when they go for qualifications, it's going to cost me quite a bit of money to have my work printed. Yes, it is. But when they see their work, when they put those 20 by 16 prints up on this panel this display thing that we built, they'll just stand back, and even they're amazed because they've never really seen the work shown like that or presented like that, and they gasp. And I've had members cry when they see the work actually printed and put up like that. And there's so much more value in printed work in my belief. I understand that commercially, a lot of commercial clients don't require that. But again, I think that sometimes from the point of photographers, and this is one thing that our organization, and certainly Jeff, helps with, is that a lot of time photographers' clients aren't aware that they can purchase prints because the photographer's not giving them the option to buy a print. And then it comes to sales and marketing. And that's one thing that we really find quite a lot of photographers struggle with, is that the great photographers, when it comes to their business and marketing and sales, they're dreadful at it. And they are not giving their customers the option to purchase something or to buy something. So it's kind of all linked together. But yeah, of course, sometimes, with the internet and people's websites, they're never going to be printed. But then you look at a lot of companies will have a yearbook done with stuff that's happened through the year, and that's down to the photographers selling them a product that they didn't even know they wanted. So
yeah,
interesting.
Right. And your comment when photographers see their work printed up, and it said they can become quite emotional over it.
Yeah,
I think that's just so true. I've been in that position, and I think it is one of the most rewarding things. And at the end of the day, when we go to photography exhibitions, or we go to, say, the National Portrait Gallery or the Photographers Gallery, you're going there to see work, that physical work that has been printed and presented and up on a wall. And I'm sure every photographer thinks, I'd love to see my work up on a wall in a gallery one day. It's the same thing. And I think it'd be great for photographers who haven't printed anything is to learn that and to start looking at having some prints. And then, you're going to then want to start to enter some of the competitions that you guys do as well. So, and then Jeff, Martin, just to sort of finish off on there, Jeff, as Martin was saying about the whole marketing aspect, and I guess that's really your expertise, isn't it? Where is Martin, what you were saying there was that a lot of commercial clients probably aren't aware of the whole print thing, because they're looking at digital files all day and every day. It's easy for them just to put up a TV up in their reception area of their building and say, let's just put a few pictures up on a slideshow there, so yeah. But Jeff, what Martin was saying, that's a great thing.
I think print is so valuable, and just to give an example of the event last week, I was handing out all the awards and the presentations, doing shaking people's hands and stuff. So I stood there for each one of those 14 categories, watching the slideshow of all the sort of the people who'd entered, that was going forward for the qualification, and you watch with admiration and inspiration these amazing images, but those images are only there for a second. The next image, but then at the end of the entire event, he's all these prints from the winners from the different categories on easels that people could actually go up and physically look at. Now, it was great for other members to be able to look at that, but think about the feeling for somebody who'd actually won it. That makes it more powerful because their stuff is there. It becomes a talking point. They feel great. It's a great boost for them, and you couldn't get that if it wasn't printed out. You'd be just sitting, oh, hang on a minute, wait, my picture's coming around in a second, you know. So I think from that is a really powerful thing. But like you said, you know, if you think about it from a photography studio type of point of view, 20 years ago, or it's 25 years ago, you would book a photography studio for especially if it was like a family portrait or something like that. You would book it for the purpose of having images in your home. You would have wall art, you would have albums. And now that education and that communication seems to have gone a little bit with photographers. So photographers will quite often sell the experience, but they won't try and sell the product. But then commercially and landscape photographers, I joined a new dentist last week, and obviously you go into a dentist. It was a beautiful dentist office, really, really sort of fancy, because you can't get an NHS dentist now, can you? They're all sort of like big fancy private places. But when out a little bit, you get a little bit nervous going to the dentist because it's not a pleasant experience. But what did they have on the room? On the walls was beautiful landscapes of Northumberland, because it's proven that sort of stuff alleviates stress and it puts you in a better position, you know. So photographers, even if you're not shooting families, you can think of other ways to sell stuff so that, you know, office spaces, meeting rooms can be filled with beautiful landscapes, or can be filled with images of companies' products or staff, you know, and if staff see themselves on walls, it brings people together. So I think there is a huge value of print, both commercially and for, you know, family and boudoir and pet photographers as well.
Yeah, no, real food for thought there. Actually, it's really interesting. So, with the BIPP, how do people join? What is the joining process?
It's very simple. You either just join online, or we'd love to talk to you. Just give us a call at the office. Just look us up on the website. And if you look at the website, just bipp.com, it kind of gives you a feel of what you're going to get from the membership as well, because there's many benefits that we've not spoke about today. That's kind of too many to name. And we're very personable. So, you know, there's me and Katrina in their office. We're always happy to speak to you. We have a quarterly magazine that goes out to all the members, actually still printed, and it celebrates our members and the work and qualifications, and that we will have the winners of the international print competition in there as well. So there's lots of other things. But yeah, just give us a call at the office, or look us up on bipp.com, or email me, Martin, Martin, at bipp.com, and more than happy to speak to you and tell you the all about it and see if it's the right fit for you as a photographer, for sure.
Brilliant, good stuff. Well, guys, thank you very much for joining us. We're going to put the links out, so people will be able to see that and just click on the links and go direct to you guys as well. And we're hoping to get you guys back on the show again. We'll get perhaps some of your members on as guests on the show as well. That would be really good, because I'm sure that you've got such a wide variety of photographers with so many different skills. And real probably experts in, you know, within their given field. So I think we're going to be hopefully getting some of your members on, which is going to be great. But thank you again for joining us. That's all right. And I'm going to drop back and go join him with Mark again. Thanks again, guys. See you next time.
Thanks again. It's a pleasure. Bye now.
Okay, Mark, I think that was it was brilliant chatting to Martin and Jeff. Yeah. Jeff, you know, friend of the show, and of course, it was Martin that was sort of doing most of the chat there, because, you know, he's a new BIPP CEO, and so we're hoping
really interesting chat. Really interesting chat.
I think so. Now, what did you think? You know, we were talking about prints and, you know, printing work out, and we were talking about the BIPP awards, Mark, and how a lot of us nowadays don't print off. You know, we don't print any pictures off at all. And, you know, when you go to an art gallery, okay, you don't go to an art gallery to look at images on a TV screen rolling or on screens. You want to go and see you want to go and see the pure print and the print quality. And I would love it if photographers actually question themselves and say, when was the last time I actually printed something? You know, from my work, and really looked at the quality in print form. Print is what it's all about.
Well, it always was. I mean, obviously we're sort of graduates of the film days, aren't we? My degree show was 5.4, and I had to print it. You know, I think maybe a couple of years after me, you see, the digital really did take off. because it was kind of there when I was graduating, but just not quite. I miss the prints. I mean, we all do it on the phones. I mean, again, one of the reasons why we really like that Instax printer, wasn't it, is because it is about printing, and it is about doing that stuff. And it is a shame. I think there's a certain. I always thought there's a certain craft of printing that us photographers always had. That craft has kind of been lost, which is a shame, because I spent many hours in the darkroom perfecting my craft of doing that, and now it's all redundant. You don't really need it.
That's right.
Which is a shame.
And I think it's important that people are aware. And do you know one question I wanted to ask? Actually, I didn't ask was, sort of the age range of people that are entering these print presentation. I wonder if it's predominantly people over a certain age. And that's one question that I didn't ask. I wonder if any people that have come into the photography industry that are maybe in their 20s at the moment, or even in their 30s, that are printing their work off and presenting their images up for awards. That would be, I think that would be really interesting.
I guess also the other thing to say, obviously we've just said about how we don't see things printed and stuff. I mean, I do actually see my work printed quite a lot. Because of my family stuff. So, we print, I print them out and frame it. And so I do get to see that, which is kind of cool. I guess if I was just a product photographer, I don't know how much you get to see that printed out these days.
No, I don't at all.
Even with wedding photography, I mean, I know you do albums, but I mean, I say a lot of my wedding stuff is all ends up on a memory pen, and then you hand it over. So I don't.
That's right. Yeah, we produce a lot of albums, the graduations. There's a huge amount of prints that go out there.
There is.
So I do see it. I do see a lot. But when it comes to the commercial side of things and the product photography that we do, and any other thing that's commercial based imagery, no. I've not seen anything for years, whereas that's all it used to be. But the thing is I'm aware of that. I'm aware of what makes a good print. I'm aware of paper and the differences in the paper that you print on and what you want to achieve out of print. And even though I don't really print now, I'm aware of what that is. And it'd be great if people looked beyond of what was on their screen or on the back of their camera. Fortunately, a lot of people buy these great cameras. They don't even download the pictures, the images to even look at on a computer screen. So they look at everything based on their back of their camera screen, and then they magnify it up to see how sharp it is on there and everything. And do you know what? That's just half of the job. In my opinion, it's like I don't know. This might not be a good analogy. Is recording a band goes into a studio. They record a song and they never listen to it again.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
does it sort of?
Sort of.
Or what they do is they hear it on the radio, but they hear it on an old AM radio.
They don't ever hear it with top range headphones or proper cams or anything like that.
They hear it in mono. It's not even in stereo. It's not even in stereo, right?
I mean, I guess it's. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's a bit of a stretch, that cam, but
it is a stretch. I was trying to find something,
but I do know what you mean. It's that part of the industry that's massively changed. I think that's something that we don't see that much. And again, going back to our first story that we were speaking about with the Bond villain images, to see those prints is something that's I think is really important.
And and this wasn't intentional, but do you see how this show has gone? Okay, this episode has gone. We started off with the Bond prints, an actual gallery, of prints. Okay, then our top 5, our number 1 present gift for Christmas was the Instax printer.
And the number 2 was something you had to print out.
Number 2 yet to print out, and then of course number 3 was the awards, the BIPP awards, which was all to do with printed images. Now that wasn't intentional. I've only just realised that's where that show has gone.
Well, you shouldn't have said that. We should have just said it was all planned, and
it was all planned. It
was all planned. I know it wasn't, but
how good was that? Everything was tied in, and we are going to wrap up for Christmas. Mark, I'll let you wrap up.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for everyone who's been listening to us this year. I know it can be a bit sporadic sometimes, but I think we've kept it quite good this year. I think we have been doing it pretty much every 2 weeks, which has been great, and we do intend to get better at that. But I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's taken the time to listen to us. It means a lot, because honestly, we're just two jobbers who go out and do it, and decided to do this podcast just to talk about what we talk about in the car on the way to a job or something like that. Neither of us are necessarily broadcasters, so for people to listen to us, it's always good, and people do come up to us now and say, yeah, we listened to that and we thought that was interesting, which is awesome. So thank you ever so much. Have a fantastic Christmas. Have lots of time with your loved ones, and obviously have a great new year, and we will be back in 24. As I say, we're going to have a little bit of a break, so it'll be the 18th of January when we'll be back. That's when our first podcast will be in 24, and we will look forward to see you then. Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy new year.